And now it is my great pleasure to introduce Dean Beyrouty, the Dean and Director of the College of Agriculture and Natural Resources at the University of Maryland, College Park, to give our closing remarks.
Cole, thank you. Appreciate that. It's wonderful to be here as well. Is Senator Middleton still here? Did he leave? Okay, he talked a little bit about the Myers-Briggs. Many of you have taken the Myers-Briggs. Raise your hand. Yeah, a lot of them. He was an ENFP, and I'm an INFP. So he and I are kind of opposite when it comes to extrovert and introvert. But there are faculty who are extroverts. Not many, but there are. And do you know how you can tell an extroverted faculty member? When you're talking to him, he's the one looking at your shoes rather than his own. Okay. It takes a little while for that to connect, especially for you extroverts, not for us introverts. It's a real pleasure to be here, always is every year. In particular, I want to recognize our ALEI faculty and staff for the great job that they do, and not only putting this symposium together, but everything they do throughout the entire year. They are here to really benefit the entire industry, the entire breadth of the industry. I think you got an appreciation for that today. But let's give them a round of applause. I think they've done an outstanding job. These are some real key individuals who really do understand legalities of many of the issues that impact our farming community, our agricultural community, and certainly our entire food system as well. And all of us really, I think, have an appreciation for the complexity of the industry that we represent. When you think about producers themselves, individuals who are on their land trying to produce food, many people who don't understand agriculture have a very simplistic perspective about what it takes to get food from the farm to the table. But it's a very, very complex set of regulations and rules, procedures and methodologies that individuals in and of themselves have to maneuver through in order to get their product to the market. And what we try to do, certainly with regards to our extension, ALEI, many of our extension faculty and staff that are sitting here as well, is to try to understand what those processes are and to convey them to the end users, the stakeholders, all of you, and certainly the entire industry throughout the entire state of Maryland and beyond. Our commitment is the sustainability of agriculture here within the state of Maryland. As you know, agriculture is second to the federal government in terms of an economic driver within the state. It is the number one economy within the state as well with regards to being an industry. We want to make sure that it is sustainable, but we want to make sure that people do have access to information in many different ways, and people gain information lots of different ways. And a lot of times they don't even realize and recognize that the information that they're getting is coming from the University of Maryland. And when I say University of Maryland, I'm talking about at College Park and Eastern Shore as well. But this program in particular, ALEI, is one that we're very, very proud of. It's one that really brings three different institutions together: University of Maryland, Baltimore, University of Maryland, College Park, University of Maryland, Eastern Shore. We're working very, very closely together to address some of the very, very hot ticket items that you all have discussed today. Actually ended the discussion, I think, with one that is very perplexing, one that creates a lot of uncertainties and cloudiness in terms of how we actually maneuver through this particular one. I hope that there was some additional clarity that was brought forward today. As I listened to the individuals speaking today, dealing with hemp, for instance, we recognize the fact that actually in the questions that were brought out, the universities do really have a strong desire to be working with the end users throughout the state. It's not a matter of not having that desire and not being proactive along those lines as well. But there are restrictions that we face and that we encounter that create some hurdles for all of us. With regards to hemp, for instance, I was in Colorado at the time. In fact, I was dean of the College of Agriculture at Colorado State University when Colorado was struggling with the growth and introduction of industrial hemp, not just marijuana, but certainly with hemp. It's a Schedule I product. It's one that our attorneys at Colorado State were working with the Department of Justice very, very closely together, trying to determine whether or not we could actually get a variance or a waiver to allow us to begin working on industrial hemp. But we actually did, at the time, work with the Department of Justice, where they gave us assurance that if we were to work on industrial hemp, that it really wouldn't be an issue for us at Colorado State. Here it's very different. We haven't engaged in those levels of conversation that I'm aware of. There are concerns, much like MDA has. Kevin, I think you had indicated that there's really very little concern in terms of losing federal dollars for higher education if we engage in working with industrial hemp. I think you have a little bit more confidence in that than we do. MDA certainly is concerned about losing their federal dollars, as we are as well. 20 to 25% of our budget at the University of Maryland and the College of Agriculture and Natural Resources come from the federal government. As a matter of fact, many of the people sitting around these tables that are employees of the University of Maryland, much of their salary, or a significant portion of their salary, comes from the federal government. If we were to lose those dollars, we would lose much of the horsepower that we actually have in order to be able to serve the state of Maryland well, and we certainly don't want that to happen as well. But our objective certainly is to be working, as Andrew had indicated, working on those crops and in those methodologies that advances agriculture and brings increased profitability to the citizens of Maryland. We'll continue to do that as well. We'll do that with the crops that we work with. We'll do that with the citizens that we work with. And we'll do that with the programming, much like what we've done today and elsewhere, in order to be able to bring the most recent information that we certainly are aware of to the table so that you can utilize that information in the best way possible. So on behalf of University of Maryland College Park, on behalf of University of Maryland Eastern Shore, University of Maryland Baltimore, I want to thank you all for being here. Again, I want to recognize the speakers as well as the individuals that helped put all of this together. And I encourage you in the future to take advantage not only of this annual event, but also take advantage of many of the other extension-related programming that ALEI, as well as our other extension faculty and staff put on. I think it is a wealth of information. It's one that I think that you and those that you serve will find a tremendous amount of benefit from. So again, thank you very much.